very special MacGuffin here. We're bringing on Laremy from film.com for a topic discussion about 127 Hours, Danny Boyle's latest film. You may remember we brought Laremy on for the discussion of Inception.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the sequel to that.
Yeah.
And you might be able to extrapolate why. We're both kind of pro 127 Hours.
Yeah, we're talking Best Picture candidates in there, and we don't talk for 127 hours, so...
I wouldn't give that away. That's part of the surprise, yeah.
We talked for a while, though.
It might be 127 minutes, though. You don't know. You won't see until you get into it, yeah. It's a pretty visceral discussion.
Yeah, intense.
Yeah, so see the movie, enjoy this podcast, and let us know at MacGuffinPodcast.com what you think.
Get some.
I broke through the carbonate, that's how I got free. Drop it back off because there's no stopping me. Postmodern player, sample-tastic, flows ekphrastic. I get drastic, hey, watch the plastic. Yo, I name check and leave you drastic.
We're here on this very special occasion to talk about Garfield 3.
Yes! Yes!
It's coming out. It's going to be a Best Picture winner.
I love the whole series.
Yeah, really.
You know, I can't really pick between...
Yeah. But in all honesty, we're here to talk about 127 Hours.
$1.27.
Yeah.
The good stuff.
Yeah,
I told you you're going to love it.
It was good.
Loved it.
We tried to hint around it in our
That's right,
based on a true story because of embargo.
But now I broke that. I'm good.
Yeah.
I've broken through the embargo.
Break on through to the other side.
Yeah. I'm the doors over here.
Newest film from Danny Boyle.
Yep.
Follow up to Slumdog Millionaire, which he won a slew of awards with.
Including Best Director, Best Picture.
I don't even know. I mean,
pretty good.
Like, I guess we should let's start by explaining what 127 Hours is for those of you who don't know, but you should. 127 Hours is the true story of Aaron Ralston, who was a outdoorsy kind of dude who got stuck. His hand got stuck under a rock, and he had to survive that. Basically, without spoilers.
I've just been saying it's based on a hiker, and it's the book's Between a Rock and a Hard Place. It's the adaptation of the book. But did you interview Boyle when he was here?
I didn't personally, but the MacGuffin stuff did. Yeah.
He the one thing he said was, the funniest thing was, he went to Aaron Ralston with this vision of what the movie was, and Aaron's like, nah, it doesn't sound great.
Yeah, I mean, he was talking about that at
awesome.
the screening.
The Q&A.
That it was sort of, he was under the perception, or I mean, he thinks that Aaron was sort of imagining that Hollywood was just going to come in, swoop in, take the story, and completely change it. Like, originally, Aaron wanted to, narrate the movie and stuff like that, and, that really probably would have taken the film in a very dramatic direction.
Lifetime movie of the week sort of thing. Yeah.
I mean, I think, it's a very dramatic story.
But, I mean, he gives you natural breaks, which is kind of the cleverness of the piece, and that Danny Boyle could really, I think the movie Buried is an example of just crushing you with the story, whereas 127 Hours, he gives you laughs, he gives you some levity in there, he gives you weird asides.
There are laughs, but they're also sort of depressed laughs.
Yeah,
haha, wow, that's really sad.
Oh, we should also note that he probably wouldn't have been able to make the film if Slumdog wasn't a success, because he's been trying to make it since before Slumdog. For the last 7 years, he's been trying to make the
when
film.
did the story originally occur? 2003, I think, or something. So
he got in a room with the studio and is like, it's a story about a guy who's trapped for a long time. And they're like, we're not making that.
We're
not going to do that.
I personally think Buried is really the one that greased the wheels, because clearly that was the
huge success,
the hit that Hollywood's been waiting for. But
it's just it had to have been cheap to shoot. Buried,
oh yeah, Buried must have been. I mean, unless Ryan Reynolds cost $20 million to get in that movie.
Budget's $20 million, 50 cents.
Yeah. The rest of the crew gets $1,000 right around.
We need a camera, a coffin, and some dirt.
I mean, you would have to think 127 Hours wasn't that expensive to shoot either. I mean,
no, I don't think it was. I mean,
the cast was remarkably long for there really being one person in it for the majority of the film.
Yeah, the cast list. Well, I mean, Rooney Mara, who will soon be known as the other Mara after her sister is the
Kate
girl
Mara
with the dragon tattoo. Rooney Mara is the one who will be the Mara. Kate Mara is her sister.
Right, but she'll be the other Mara,
exactly.
not Rooney.
But she's in this.
Yes, Kate plays a role.
And your girl Amber Tamblyn.
Amber Tamblyn, man. Joan of Arcadia really was the greatest show ever. When that got canceled, like I pretty much boycotted TV for like a year or two.
You sent the peanuts to the TV station to get it back
They'd
on
wish
the air.
I sent peanuts.
You're like, if you guys don't bring
wish.
back Amber Tamblyn,
Like, you know,
You're dead.
like the Amber Tamblyn like pops up on my radar, and like I think she was in The Ring.
wasn't she like Alpha Dog or something? Is that not her?
I don't think that was her.
Girl in Pool? No? Okay.
She might have been like Girl in Pool and something completely forgettable. I don't think so though. But she was Joan of Arcadia and like
Huge.
this.
Huge.
Like she pops up every now and then, and it's sort of like, oh yeah, that's that one.
But we should note that the girls are only in 10 minutes of the movie.
So okay, let's clarify. There are two characters. There's Amber Tamblyn and Kate Mara, who run into the lead, Aaron Ralston, played by James Franco, which I don't think we mentioned thus far.
Right.
And they interact with them for like the first 10 minutes of the movie, and then they're gone. They never return, I don't think.
Missing a button. That's not good. Yeah, that's just that. You know what that struck me as? That scene, like the beach. It really like that innocence against this backdrop nature. I mean, I liked it, but it was totally like to set you up for this roller coaster effect that was about to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, it was sort of the only thing was to also have a basis for him flashing to thinking about what could have been and all that other stuff. I mean, it's a very interesting. It's really a character piece. I mean, not to get like film snobby.
It is. It's a drama that rests upon Franco's shoulders, basically. If Franco doesn't pull it off, you don't have a movie.
And I think you know, that's one of the things we were talking before off camera that we should get into now is James Franco is a really sort of interesting roller coaster of a career. I mean, lately he's been on a roll. He was in Milk. He was in Howl, as you said. He was in this. I mean, what else?
The last 18 months have been very strong for James Franco.
It's been a much
before
stronger.
You thought, well, he's just another guy.
I mean, before it was sort of like, you know, Spider-Man 3,
which is fine. Like, he didn't really do anything amazing.
I mean,
in that.
let me pull out the list we were going over. It was just
he was
sort of
in
like
Days of Our Lives.
He was in
Pineapple Express.
Which some people enjoy.
I mean, it's fine, but you don't say, well, the acting in Pineapple Express blew me away.
Right.
I mean,
well, I mean, he was probably one of the better parts, honestly. But like Flyboys, Annapolis, Tristan and Isolde, The Great Raid, City by the Sea.
You said he must have changed agents. It does seem like he definitely switched directions in his career. He's like, I want to do real movies now. Is that an option?
And I mean, it's sort of interesting though, because he started out so well with like Freaks and Geeks. Had to be like one of the best initial starts. Yeah. And like, I mean, granted, a lot of those people kind of disappeared until Apatow resurrected himself.
Yep.
Not to get too many holy references going on,
but Franco is a legitimate Best Actor contender this year.
Oh yeah, I mean, the second I walked out of that movie, I'm like, if he,
he's phenomenal.
I can't see him not getting nominated for that role. Like he carries the film and he carries it remarkably.
You haven't seen Howl yet, I don't think.
I have not seen Howl.
He's great in Howl too. I mean, you see this guy and you're like, he can really...
Is that going to be the problem? Is he going to split the vote?
Howl's not going to get nominated.
Ouch.
Yeah, I liked it, but
throwing
no one
that
saw
under
it.
the bus already.
No one saw it, and it didn't get any marketing, and I don't know who the distribution is, but I tried to make it happen for Howl. You failed.
Yeah, well, here it is again. If you haven't seen it, go see Howl.
I don't think you can see it.
Really? It's not even out on video?
I don't think...
Scarecrow, man. They have to have
We'll
Howl.
go look around. We might find it. Some other Ginsberg tales in there, too.
But I mean, you know, Franco is a very talented guy. I don't know if it's partly because...
Have you seen him in 30 Rock?
Yeah,
he's really funny.
He was really funny in 30 Rock.
Funny.
See, but that might be the problem is that he's become most associated with like comedic roles.
It's a fair point.
I mean, he was great in Freaks and Geeks. He's great on 30 Rock. You know, Date Night was probably one of the better parts. I mean, all this stuff. Pineapple Express. Like,
well, let me throw out another former comedic actor who won last year, Sandy Bullock. So if you go serious, I feel like the Academy...
I don't know if you want to use her as your template.
Franco's better than Bullock.
Number one, like that movie.
Not great.
Not great.
You're not a huge Blindside guy?
No, I don't really like. I feel like.
But you do love The Proposal.
I do love The Proposal, really. Ryan Reynolds and her were just a magical couple.
You're really bagging on Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, it's
and I like
natural.
I want to say out there.
I'm not the one who brought up The Proposal. Let's note that right now.
See, she gets on her knee. That's why it's different. You get that?
They really twisted that on you.
Yeah.
I mean, but she had like you go back to, was it Demolition Man? I go that far back with Sandy Bullock.
Ooh.
Speed.
2 weeks notice. Ooh.
Yeah. That was the dark days of Sandy Bullock, as I like to say. But Speed, like. Great.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, great.
Phenomenal movie.
So, like, that should have won Best Actress.
Well, she was snubbed.
Yeah.
Snub for Speed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really,
legitimately snubbed.
Yeah. So, you know, I guess that's true. I mean, there is sort of
Well, who's gonna beat him? I don't think. I mean, in terms of best actor, I think he's it. I think he's the guy right now. I think he's number one with a bullet.
Ooh, I mean, what other great acting performances? Do
They're
you
gonna
think
look at
anyone will come
someone
out
for
like
King's Speech.
I hear a lot about King's Speech. I haven't seen that one.
I've seen it. It's good. It's not as good as
not
127
good.
hours. I think.
I mean, do you
Colin
think
Firth out of there, perhaps?
Yeah, I don't like Colin Firth. He's kind of Britishy.
Not for you. I mean, will the Inception?
Yeah,
people
that's
get
what I'm
anything?
wondering. Like, I think they'll get
Social
a lot
Network, maybe Jesse Eisenberg.
I would be pleasantly surprised with that. For some reason, I don't.
You don't see it.
I don't foresee it. Like, I hope it's true, but
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's already forgotten. Like,
There'll probably be someone from True Grit. I'm guessing.
Oh, totally, yeah. Coen Brothers, without a doubt. And it's that December
think.
release play. I think, I think Inception will get a lot of
Technical
play.
awards.
Technical awards, but also probably like supporting role. There's probably like Tom Hardy or somebody who we've,
like to see Tom
we've
Hardy.
raved about
Yeah.
on numerous occasions.
He's fantastic.
There'll probably be some supporting roles there. I don't know. I mean, maybe depending on if there's a lack of them, they'll throw DiCaprio out there. I don't know. I
Could
mean,
happen.
he was good, but I don't know if it was good enough to be. Is it still 5 for that Best Picture?
It is.
One with 10.
Yep. That's right.
So it's tough when there are like only 4 other slots if we're giving him the automatic berth.
I'm giving Jimmy Franco the one.
And I mean, same note. You have to imagine it's going to get a nomination for Best Picture.
100%.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm willing to bet whatever you got on that. I actually think it's down to that and True Grit for Best Picture.
And you're already signing off on True Grit just based on purely on Coen
Brothers just make good stuff. I mean,
you don't think Inception's going to be a legitimate contender?
I think it's been too long since it was in big in the news. I think it's a great film. I just think that these things work about what they want to reward this year.
The thing that I will say though is, do you think that Inception's gotten such a wide exposure versus 127 hours? Like 127 hours, I think will be. I mean, it is good, but do you think it's going to get as much play as Inception? I don't think it's going to make $200 million.
Oh, it definitely won't make as much. But I mean,
maybe 50.
But that's the Hurt Locker Avatar comparison. Like, you don't have to make money to win the Best Picture.
That's true. But I'm just saying, it doesn't necessarily mean it will not be eligible. But don't you think that extra exposure helps Inception? I mean, when it comes time for people to vote,
is a Best Picture nom, which it wouldn't have got. Like Dark Knight, and I mean the reason this all came down is because Dark Knight and Wall-E didn't get Best Picture names, right? So then the Reader got it instead, and so now they do want that pop culture champion, which is what Inception is actually. Strangely, even though it's really good, it's also known by the masses,
right?
So that will get a nom. It just won't
in
get
terms
a win.
of like the voter putting stuff in voters' hands.
It's too modern for the Academy, I think. Although 127 hours is pretty modern as well.
Yeah,
I mean, in terms of stylistic.
Yeah, it's a very stylistic film. I mean,
which is why if you had to bet on True Grit at this point.
Yeah,
it's a remake of a John Wayne film by the Coen Brothers with Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, it's got a lot going for it, but I don't know. It's hard for me to like immediately sign off on a film that I've never seen.
I'm asking you right now to sign off on camera.
What was the one they did with Brad Pitt a few years ago?
Oh, that was not good.
Burn After Reading.
That was not great.
So, they do have misses every now and then.
Well, that Intolerable Cruelty is not great.
No.
And they had another one. Was Clooney in Intolerable Cruelty?
He was.
They had about 3 out of 5 that weren't good. But then you look at, No Country for Old Men.
They're definitely higher than... I like No Country for Old Men. I don't like it as much as, like, the rest of the world. Okay. Like, I'm one of those people who's like, that was good.
I loved it.
Like like the ending portion of it was sort of like a little bit underwhelming. Like it sort of.
They did it on purpose, though. I mean, they didn't just not film an ending. The whole theme of the film was you won't see it coming, and you didn't see that ending coming.
No, but I mean, it just like it felt sort of anticlimactic to me. I'm not saying they had to have like a big like shootout like style thing, but it was just sort of like. Okay, now he's dead. And
did you see There Will Be Blood before?
I saw it after.
You saw it after. Because There Will Be Blood was the one from that year that kind of underwhelmed me.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I thought that one was
it was good acting,
overrated.
but I don't know where the story was necessarily.
No, I totally think that one was one of those ones that, like, I don't understand how it got so inflated. Like, it's a good film.
I mean, it's good, yeah.
But it's not like I didn't walk out like, holy
I mean, but you look at PTA, Magnolia is far superior.
Oh, there's a bunch there.
Punch Drunk Love is far superior. Boogie Nights is better. I mean,
yeah, in his filmography, that's got to be sort of lower in the spectrum. But
it was almost like everyone discovered PTA at once. They're like, oh, this guy can really direct.
But the flip side, I mean, you look at that too, and like you think Danny Boyle. I mean, do you think this is Danny Boyle's best film?
I do.
Really?
I do.
I mean, I think there's so many.
Trainspotting's really good though.
Trainspotting's awesome. 28 Days Later is fantastic. I mean,
the guy
Slumdog
really
Millionaire was great. Like, I mean, it's hard to just like.
I just think this film does have a couple of tiny problems, and I gave it. This and Inception are the only A+ this year for me.
I think I had more problems with it than you. I mean, I love the film, but
do you find like some pacing issues maybe?
No, or? I thought like not to give too much away, but like dreamy sequences sort of got a little bit like over like, and the stuff like reality was like dramatic enough for me for a lot of it. Like the people I was sitting with, Brandy and Alan, you might. They would tell you, like, even when he was just like drinking out of a stagnant pond, I was like, oh, like it was so like intense for me, even just that, like.
Yeah, and I've heard that complaint from a couple other people that okay, the reality is big enough. Why infuse these other melodramatic things? And I guess my counter argument to that is he needed to get you out of the situation every so often to make that reality impact. And if you just give people an hour of horribleness,
I think that's totally legitimate. But I felt like he did too much of it at times. And it was sort of like, can we get back to reality? Like, and then there'd be times where sort of like, is this reality or is this? Oh no, that's a dream sequence. And sort of like,
yeah, and that I mean that's the stuff I've seen it twice now, and just a couple tiny little problems like that. I loved it. Though.
I mean, right?
It's in my sensibilities,
right?
You know?
Well, it's not even. I mean, these are small criticisms. Believe me, like the story, the acting,
the soundtrack's phenomenal.
The soundtrack,
too,
like there's the whole experience is phenomenal.
And it evokes too. Like you will not go into this film and then come out not having some emotion. It will make something happen in you.
I mean, mostly it's just like, oh god, sort of that's my summary of my emotions from that movie.
If I could give you one piece of advice, is see it without knowing anything about the story. Like, don't do the Wikipedia.
You know, the honest thing, like, I didn't really know a heck of a lot about it until people were like, oh, that was the guy who did blankety blank to keep the mystery there. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, and I was sort of like, oh yeah. And so I sort of knew what was coming in general, but like even still was like, oh no. Like, it was so well done that like.
Here's the other thing. In terms of degree of difficulty, this one's off the charts because he takes what is essentially a story of a man's perseverance against nature, right? And he makes it somehow a story of community. And how you need these, structures to survive, and how you eventually are living for other people, and how at the end of it all, you wish you had people around. And I mean, he makes it a very positive, hopeful thing.
There is that message to it. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily walked out with that being the first thing that came to my mind. Like, I came out of that movie, and just like. The first thing that occurred to me was like, "There's no way I could have done that." Like, there's no way. Like, I would have given up like 5 minutes into that story.
Do you ever read Eric D. Snyder?
Yeah,
he writes for film, but he also is ericdsnyder.com, and he wrote an article about the event when it happened, about people's perseverance, and he said like not only would it have not occurred to him, but if it did, he would have laughed at like the joke he just made at how silly that was.
Well, I mean, I was talking to people. I was like, I was like, that might have occurred to me, but I'd just like off myself and be done with it. Like,
I'd be like, high five, everybody, good game. Yeah,
I was like, no freaking way. Like, I couldn't have done it. And like the true story, like, is even more dramatic in some ways than the film. Like, like when people were talking to me after the fact, like, oh yeah, this occurred too, and I was like, no, just no.
Negative.
Yeah.
Pattern's full on that one.
Yeah, like it's an amazing, like, and there are details to the story that I definitely didn't know. Like, there's a lot of sort of like. Self-discussion, if you will, because he has a camera and sort of documents his trip,
which is
not
crazy.
To get too detailed, but like the fact that like I had no idea that occurred in real life, like it actually occurred. Like Danny Boyle watched the videotapes that occurred from this guy, and it's sort of I was just shocked, and the fact that then they used the camera that he used in the movie, like that was the camera they filmed those sequences with.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like
I didn't know that.
Dan Boyle was talking about that at the screen. And it was sort of
Debo's
like,
on it.
Yeah, like
That guy's with it.
he was amazing. And like I mean, it's hard to. I don't. Part of it's like you don't know who to give the most credit to. Like Dan Boyle did a lot.
Yeah.
James Franco put in a great performance. The original story is so amazing. Like
The script is very good.
You wonder.
The score is
You wonder
very
if that fact might hurt one of the elements. Like somebody's gonna be like, oh, it's all Franco, or it's all Boyle, or it's all the script, and it might hurt their chances in best actor, best picture, best screenplay, whatever.
I think Franco wins for Best Actor. I don't think he gets Best Picture. I think the Coen brothers get Best Picture. But, I mean, I'm personally cheering for it right now. For me, it's one of my 2 favorite films of the year.
And it was sort of funny. We were talking about this the other day when we were filming the other MacGuffin stuff. And it was, we're talking about, what else is sort of like, we were talking about Harry Potter, but we were talking about what else has been the big stuff
Harry
of the
Potter.
year. And it's sort of like, well, what about like Toy Story 3? I mean, imagine Toy Story 3 is probably going to get Best Picture nomination.
It will, yeah. I mean, the other Kick-Ass
Inception.
and Scott Pilgrim were great for me, but obviously they're not buzzy.
I don't think
they're not
any of those.
I think I
maybe
can
a
name the
technical-
10 because I've done it before.
All right.
So you got, let's see if I can pull this up. Now.
Yeah.
Social Network,
Yeah.
King's Speech, True Grit, 127 Hours, Inception, Toy Story 3, The Kids Are All Right.
That one feels like a stretch to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I think the whole lesbian angle is something the Academy's probably going to
maybe.
wanna...
I don't feel like. I feel like that was like a blip on the radar. Like,
Yeah, didn't make a big...
I don't feel like it made a big splash, and it came out too long ago. Like you talk about like Inception coming out too long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the problem is there's gonna be like 4 films that are Best Picture nominees in December.
Sure,
like
usually
True
Black
Grit
Swan.
Black Swan, yeah, there you go.
be
Black
8.
Swan, I think, is without a question. And like they're talking about Natalie Portman basically having the best female
Locked up.
acting performance for the last decade, which I feel like is really overhyping it.
Yeah.
Kind of, but like it seems like that is a lock for that.
And who are my other 2? I didn't name them. I went on TV in October and said the 10 best.
But I feel, as I say, I feel like there's probably going to be something, a lot of them in December, just because that's always how it is. I mean, they want that like instant recognition, and you're right that releasing films early in the year, like Kick-Ass especially, I mean, you can pretty much write that one off because it's
it never was going to win.
It never was going to
any
come out,
awards
but it came out in like March.
Yeah.
Like how many nominees come out in March? Maybe 1.
Oh,
like if it's
0,
like like Avatar or something.
Like August for Hurt Locker was a massive upset last year.
Like so, like that's very
rare,
rare and unconventional. So it feels like it's gonna be December stuff, and I mean you're right. True Grit probably is gonna be there. I don't know if there's eventually gonna be like just sort of a point where like let's stop
Another
giving...
Year is number 9. You got to see Another Year. That's a great film by Mike Lee. Really
seems
good.
to be doing pretty well lately. But like, is there gonna be a point where the Coen brothers are like, okay, we've given them enough stuff. Like, let's try. And,
I think
like...
we've just started our Coen brothers period. Because,
really?
I mean, their first Best Picture was No Country for Old Men. I mean,
but they've had like appreciation
they won
since
for Fargo in terms of writing. Their first Best
acting.
Director was No Country for Old Men as well.
But then
they've
like,
been underappreciated up until now. I mean, if you look at their work.
Yeah, no, you're probably right about that. But I don't know. I almost feel like they're starting to get overexposed. Like I feel like every year it's like, oh, the Coen brothers are gonna get nominated for something. It's sort of like. I mean,
they're taking
good.
the natural place of Spielberg.
But like it's almost like too much though.
Scorsese.
It's like like they're taking the place of like Coppola, Spielberg, and Scorsese all at once. It's just sort of like every year it's like, oh, the Coen brothers made a film, we're gonna have to give that one Best Picture. Like who else has got that exposure? Like Scorsese got his award, now he's like dead to everyone. Like
well, I mean, there's James Cameron, Danny Boyle, Aronofsky. Although Aronofsky evidently is not beloved by the Academy for some reason.
I don't know.
Personality.
I think he's not
him.
beloved by a lot of people. Like I feel
he's
like
nice to me.
He creates great films, but I don't feel like any of his films have been like, except for maybe The Wrestler.
Yeah.
Like none of them are like widespread loved films. Like people like The Fountain, people like Requiem, people like The Wrestler, and people like Pi. But you don't know everyone. You're like, how about that blah from Darren Aronofsky, and it's sort of like
I feel like you see these guys go through phases, and he's in his AAA phase right now. And Danny Boyle kind of hit the majors with Slumdog. I mean, I loved him from Train Spotting, but people didn't notice him till Slumdog. And then in terms of the wide, and the Coen brothers probably hit their stride again with No Country.
Oh yeah. They might have hit it with what was that one with George Clooney? Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I think that was probably where they started hitting it, because I mean that didn't get as widespread recognition, but like people start like everyone seems to love that movie. So.
It's really good. It's really different too.
Yeah.
I think in terms of Aronofsky, we'll see his best work in 10 years. Whereas right now we're probably seeing Danny Boyle and the Coen brothers' best work.
I don't even know how mainstream do you think Aronofsky really is?
Not at all.
Like,
yeah, which is why the losing RoboCop hurt him, but Wolverine might help him.
I don't think that'll help him.
I don't think anyone deserves that.
I don't. Yeah, I feel like if anything, that's gonna hurt him, because people will be like, "Wow, Darren Aronofsky."
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know how about X-Men, Wolverine, please. Like I guess we should get back to talking about 127 Hours,
which is awesome.
I mean, let's talk about Danny Boyle a little bit. Danny Boyle,
Debo.
I look back at his career, and it is an amazingly diverse set of films. I mean, what do you think the low point for Danny Boyle is? Let's talk about that.
Life Less Ordinary is not great.
That was not great. I have issues with The Beach.
I like The Beach, but I think most people have issues with it.
I like the first half of The Beach, and then when it became a video game, I was like, so done. I was like, oh.
I'd read the book coming in, so I think I was a little more prepared for.
Was that in the book too?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but like, talk about a guy hitting his stride. I mean,
Sunshine's uneven.
Sunshine's uneven, but like after that, you have 28. Let's see. 28 Days Later, then Millions. Millions, kind of an underappreciated film. It's kind of cutesy, it's nice. I mean, I didn't. Sunshine, a little bit off. 28 Weeks Later. I mean, debate about how much he was involved with that. I mean, what he directed, what he just produced, all that kind of stuff. But still, I mean, I thought that was decent. People hate on it a little too much for me.
Yeah. Do you think 127 is his best film, and then Slumdog, and then 127?
I would say it's between 28 Days Later. Oh God, that's tough. Like they're so diverse for me.
Really
Trainspotting's great. 28 Weeks Later, Slumdog, and 127 Hours. The thing that
I guess he's doing Trainspotting too, by the way.
Yeah, they've talked about that for years, though.
I know.
Is that Slumdog and 127 Hours are kind of the most similar in some ways to me, and that kind of. I don't know if that dilutes how much I appreciate each one of them. Yeah. But the difference between like Trainspotting and 28 Days Later and those two are so dramatic. Yeah. Like 127 Hours and Slumdog Millionaire are both sort of like that, like underdog overcoming obstacles from a like tough challenge and stuff like that. And it's sort of like they're kind of both dark but then upbeat in the end. Like, and I wonder if that makes me not appreciate both of them as much as they necessarily deserve.
When I talked to them, I told him I felt like his career has become way more steeped in humanity, like humanistic.
No, totally.
And his films, I said Trainspotting is really dark, and he's like, no, it had a positive message to the end. I'm like, it has babies crawling on the ceiling, man. Like,
dead babies.
It is not from it is not from a positive go human sensibility. So I think he's really. I don't know if his outlook's changed or the projects he's choosing have changed, but he has gone from really dark to quasi dark to kind of light now.
No, I think he's pretty light.
Is a pretty hopeful film.
With the exception of like, Millions is really light. Yeah. I mean, Sunshine. But like 28 Weeks Later, besides that, like it's pretty much all getting lighter after 28 Days Later.
Yeah, so you wonder if he'll continue on that.
Well, if he does the Trainspotting sequel, that would probably be dark. I can't imagine it's like no drugs involved.
Yeah, they're all like have kids and go to soccer a lot. Yeah.
He's got something called Panee listed as a producer. I don't know what that's about. Sounds like something.
I like this iPad. I gotta get one of those.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. Yeah, that's what we do around here.
It's no joke.
You come around here enough, it's like a parting gift. I think he's become much more sort of pro humanity. Like it is really like you come out of Danny Boyle movies and you're like, yeah, I'm living. Like
go us,
living. You know,
team.
And it's I don't know if that necessarily is to a detriment to them in general, because they're all good, don't get me wrong, but like, just because, are they too similar to each other? Like, I like Slumdog Millionaire a lot. I mean, that's pretty bleak at times, and I like that, but like,
yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think,
and is that gonna
next 5 projects we'll have to figure out.
But is that gonna hurt him with 127 hours though? Is people gonna be like, that's too similar to Slumdog Millionaire in a lot of ways?
I think it's so fantastical in some elements, and the people passing out, and the visceralness of the piece, that I think it will have enough of a place to be differentiated, in my opinion.
But I mean, in terms of like the Academy and stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think again, the fact that you have Academy members passing out at Academy screenings is different than Slumdog, which was just a little bit dark at times. So,
I guess that summarizes.
That's all I got.
I guess that summarizes 127 hours.
I would see 127 hours if I were you.
See it in the theater. You know?
Oh, definitely see it in the theater, because he does a lot of things on the screen. You know, like triptychs, and he uses the whole screen.
I wouldn't even argue that. I mean, just the experience of seeing it with an audience.
Yeah.
Like, just to see the reaction of the people around you.
Visceral.
Intense. It's such a visceral movie that you don't want to just watch it by yourself, because that takes away part of the experience. So
agreed.
Go see it. Good movie.
Yep.
He gave it one of his 2 A+ this year.
Plus.
Maybe 3, depending on True Grit. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I do love me some Coen Brothers.
So,
but
let us know, MacGuffinPodcast.com. We want to spread the love. Pro. Team Boyle.
Yeah, Tebow.
1000 can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. Magneto can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. Even Zod can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. It's tight. Don't even try to bite the side style. Mr. Spock can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. The Wrath of Khan can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. The Borg can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. Because I've got space game and it feels alright.